It's track review.
Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for track reviews, where we talk about the latest in rock, pop, electronic, and experimental music, as well as maybe some hip hop and metal from time to time of the indie, maybe also major label dependent persuasion. And the reason I'm doing this track review is because the indie electronic duo consisting of Alice Glass and Kath, known as Crystal Castles, has a new track out titled Plague. Recently there has been talk with Crystal Castles of a new LP that they've been recording, and over the course of time that I've been following Crystal Castles, there have been some ups and some downs. While I do love Crystal Castles' debut LP, I am slightly underwhelmed by the second. And to me, Crystal Castles' debut album was fun, it was bouncy, it was just really interesting, multi-layered and multi-textured alternative indie electronic pop dance. I really love the mixtures of sounds and styles on this album. You do get straight dance tunes, really short poppy electronic motifs, as well as tracks that have more of a shoegaze direction to them too. And to pull all of these things together, Kath will drum up ethereal sounds, distorted sounds, 8-bit quality audio as well. And of course, Alice Glass's vocals do have a lot to offer to the album too. While I don't think she is the greatest vocalist in a traditional sense, I do think that she has a lot of personality. On a lot of tracks between Crystal Castles' first and second LP, you will catch her performing these very sharp, girly, shouted vocals that are very attention demanding. And I think her vocals can sometimes have an element of cockiness to them that I like a lot. And Crystal Castles' second LP, I mean, I could understand it still being self-titled because to me it really feels like a continuation of the same theme, except maybe a little more refined with some tracks that have a more gargantuan presentation. And one of the best singles of the year, it came out 2010, Not in Love, which featured Robert Smith of The Cure on vocals. Now that we have this new Crystal Castles track out, I'm really kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that it leads and just builds up to an album that I love as much as the debut. But after listening to this track, I'm just not sure if that's gonna happen. The track starts off with a really ethereal introduction. The synthesizers are very light but have a reverb on them that makes them feel pretty panoramic. And Alice Glass is singing over this introduction in a pretty subdued vocal delivery. I guess subdued to the point where it feels kind of anonymous. And the vocal melody that she sings in this section of the song just feels very forgettable to me. I like that the track has a loud, soft dynamic to it. It's kind of cliche. I'm sure a lot of people are going to point that out, but I mean, it's one of the better things this song has going for it. Because when the song does explode for the first time, it does kind of feel, at least on some level, like, ooh, ecstasy. Just this rush of really sharp, bright, like blindingly bright synthesizers just pour in, and it's a synthesizer tone texture that if you're a Crystal Castles fan, you've heard used on previous tracks. The synths are playing a very rhythmic phrase that is cycling in a very repetitive manner. Some buzzing bass adds a little bit of low end underneath that, and Alice Glass's vocals kind of get swallowed in all of this. Kind of like the initial tracks to drop from the last Crystal Castles album, there are just some production choices that really ruin the song for me and keep me from loving it. Like, why are Alice's vocals so buried on this song? With how just low they're mixed and how much reverb has been slapped on them, this kind of sounds like a grime song, but with more of an apocalyptic edge or something. And it's a little frustrating because to me, Alice's vocals are the only thing that are changing up and doing something different. At the 150 mark in this song, you have pretty much heard everything that this instrumental has to offer to you, and it's 5 minutes long. I like the textures and the sounds coming through on the very ethereal interlude around the second third of the track, but it's not so interesting that it makes me interested to hear the last section of the instrumental, which is just kind of like a copy and paste job of the previous section of the instrumental. I also think the song comes with a pretty obvious mood change too. This is definitely one of the angstier and darker songs that I've heard Crystal Castles put out. And while I didn't really love the execution with the production, maybe a darker album from them this time around would be kind of interesting. So overall, I didn't really care for this track, to be completely honest. I probably will not be listening to it again until Crystal Castles' next album finally comes out. And that's it. What did you guys think of this track? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Remember, the good comment, the great rate, and only the strong subscribe. Anthony Fantano, Crystal Castles, forever.